So as you can see, today we have a second part of a TechTalk series, which Kashif basically agreed to present. The series is Backup NDR. The first topic was already covered by Kashif and is considered a beginner's level. I will share the link with you. You will find the recording in the post I will share. This is basically the intermediate level, and we will also follow with an advanced webinar. This is up to Kashif. He will decide when he will do the third presentation, and we will announce it in the community as always. So today we are discussing Intra-City DR solution. As always, you are welcome to share your questions. We will have the usual rewards, so the best questions will be rewarded as well. Since we have limited time, please make sure to stay on topic and keep the questions relevant to today's topic. Kashif will select the best questions. He, of course, knows the topic better than I know it, so he will decide who had the best and most relevant questions for today's webinar. And we will also have the regular Q&A session at the end of the live webinar, where you are welcome to answer 3 questions for a chance to win 600 HyperMetro. If we have new participants here in the meeting, first of all, welcome. This webinar is presented to you by the Huawei Enterprise Support Community. We are a technical community for all Huawei Enterprise product solutions and certifications. We have a big community that you are welcome to join if you haven't yet. We have specialized full-time moderators who are able to provide technical solutions and answer your questions within 24 hours. We have an extensive knowledge base that you can use to learn and also to prepare for different Huawei certifications. And we have also created a public recognition and reward system where the most active members can have different elite user roles. So basically, if you are willing to contribute more on this community, you can become an elite user as well. Kashif, for example, is one of our elite users, and he won. Actually, he is not just one of our elite users; he's one of the best elite users in the community. He won the title of the best HCA expert last year and also 2 years ago. He's also an outstanding webinar host. He's also an MVE, an author. So a lot of contribution to the community. And if you think you can contribute as well, and if you are willing to share your knowledge with our community members, then you are welcome to join us as an elite user. If not, in the meantime, you can attend different activities that we have and tech talks like this one to learn, to get access to our rewards, and make sure to subscribe to receive notifications on your email every time there's a new activity or a new webinar in the category that you're interested in. So this is our community. Now, as I said, Kashif Ali is an outstanding member of our community. He has an impressive experience. He has HCA in storage, in cloud computing as well. As always, I want to thank you, Kashif, for doing this webinar, for sharing your knowledge with our community, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate it and how much I appreciate you. Now I will let you start the presentation. I muted the microphones just to avoid interruptions during the presentation, but you can use the chat to share your questions, and Kashif will check the chat from time to time. So please use the chat. And if there's any question, you can find me here. You can write to me, and I will take care of it. Okay. So Kashif, if you want, you can start the actual presentation. I will not interrupt unless there's, but hopefully there will not be any issue with the sound. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Alina. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can hear
Okay.
you well.
Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Kashif. I'm working as a solution architect in TechAccess Pakistan. TechAccess is a Huawei partner in Pakistan, and I have more than 17 years of experience on designing, planning on multiple vendors like server, storage, network, cloud virtualization, and backups. And my responsibilities are to design turnkey solutions. And I have some Huawei certification as well, like two HCIE, one is cloud and another is storage. So now I'm planning for the public cloud as well. So our today topic is introduction to active-active solution and typical networking. We'll see how the active-active solution is configured and what are the network requirements. And then we'll see how to configure HyperMetro. What is the configuration? What are the requirements and how we can configure HyperMetro? And then we will see installing and deploying of the Quorum server. As we discussed in our previous session that we need Quorum server for the arbitration. So we'll see how we can install it and how we can configure it. And then in the last, we'll be doing a DR test that how we can test our HyperMetro configuration and if it is working properly or not. So first, this is just an introduction. Everyone knows that what is active-active solution, but let me rephrase it. For example, you have a data center A and data center B. So if you want to use both data centers as an active-active data center. So for example, we have a user here. This is our user. So the user can access this data center as well and this data center as well at a time. So there will be no downtime for the user. For example, if this data center goes down, so the user can access from here. So there's no downtime because the data is simultaneously written and read and write on both sides. So this is called active-active solution. So there will be no downtime, no RTO, and RPO will be zero. So this is a basic concept of active-active solution. So Huawei has the solution HyperMetro. HyperMetro is a solution which can provide these type of configuration and solution. So let's see how it works. So in HyperMetro, we have different scenarios. For example, single DC deployment. In single DC deployment, we have two storages deployment and two equipment room, or maybe in one city, but there's a distance limitation. We'll see in the next slide what are the limitations for the distance. So in single DC deployment, you have two equipment room, for example, and you can do it in one equipment room as well if you want to use it. For example, you have a host of cluster. This is your cluster. These are the host. So it can be VMware, Oracle Rack, or any cluster can be configured on this. And then we have FC or IP SAN. We can support both. We can support IP and SAN as well. So these are the replication links. Replication links will be configured, and this is storage A and this is storage B, and both storages will be configured as an active. So this user can, for example, here is a VM, and we have VM here as well. So these both VMs can access both storages at a time. So they can read and write simultaneously on the both storages. So we will see how it works. We'll be learning how the active solution works. So I will let you know how it works in the next slides. And this is the Quorum server. As we discussed, we need a Quorum server for arbitration. For example, we have an issue with the heartbeat, and these both storages are active. So if there is an issue with the heartbeat, so both storages will be not aware of the data, that what is the status of the data. So you need a quorum server, so which can decide that which storage should be active. If there is a heartbeat failure, the replication links are down, so there will be no replication. In that case, the quorum server will decide that which storage will be active and in which storage will be not participating as active storage. So this quorum service is mandatory, or you can use static priority. We will learn in the next coming slide that what is static priority. But right now you need quorum server. That quorum server will be deciding which storage must be active if there is a replication link failure, in case of replication link failure. In cross DC means that you have two data center and you want to configure activity configuration, but there's a limitation of the distance due to the latencies issues, because for active you need acknowledgement from the secondary storage as well. If, for example, this host is writing something here, so it will be written here as well. So once the data is written here, it acknowledge back, so the written will be successfully done. So we need to take care of the latency. So you can go up to 100 kilometer, but the recommendation is 25 kilometer in fiber and 80 kilometer for IP. But if you want to go beyond this distance, then you need to use WDM device. WDM device will be placed here and here, so you will be able to do the active configuration. But recommendation is to use 25 kilometer fiber channel, dark fiber, so you will get the best performance for active deployment. So these are the requirements if you want to use it cross DC deployment. So you need to take care about the distance as well. So distance is very important. As you know, some application also required very little latency, like Oracle Rack, etc. So these are the requirements of the application as well. So you need to design accordingly, that what are the application and what are the customer requirements. So we can do these configuration according to the customer requirement, and we can discuss it, that what are the requirement and what will be the design for as per the customer application requirement and the distance limitation. So recommended is to have 25 kilometer dark fiber to get the maximum performance. These are some highlights that as we discussed, that there's a dual write. For example, you have storage A and storage, this is storage A and this is B, and user is here. So it is called dual write. We are writing on the both storages because it is active. Both storages be synchronized completely. So for example, if this goes down, so you can get the RTO 0 and RPO 0. For example, this storage is not available, so the user can access the storage anytime, and the data will be synced. Data will be always synced. There will be no downtime, no data loss. So you can get the 0 RTO and 0 RPO. This is the beauty of active solution. And there will be no service interruption. So as we can see, that both storages can provide service simultaneously, fully utilizing the DR resources. For example, if in active passive you have one storage A, storage B. This is storage A, this is storage B, and this is the user. So this is active and this is standby. So this storage, these resources are not utilizing in this case. But if you are using active, then you are utilizing storage B as well. So the advantage of active solution is that you are using storage A and storage B resources as well, and load is distributed between the storage as well. So it is good for performance. And then we are providing activity solution for 24/7 service continuity. And there's a big difference between the other vendor and Huawei. Huawei is providing gateway-free design. Huawei is not installing any gateway or any third-party device between the storages to configure the active solution. As we know, other vendors are proposing gateway in between the storages. So as you know, if you put some more devices in between the storages, so it will be very complex, and maybe you can get some performance bottleneck as well. But Huawei is providing the solution without any gateway. We are not providing any third-party devices or any Huawei devices. So we can connect two storages, and we can configure both. We can configure active configuration without any gateway. Okay, and there's another feature, HyperMetro can provide 3DC solution as well. So for example, if 3DC solution means, for example, you have storage A, storage B. This can be in one city or in one building. This is called active solution. If you want a third site, so we can do a hyper replication, async replication to configure a third site. This third site can be 300 kilometer maybe. So you can do that as well. So we can do the 3DC solution as well with HyperMetro. It can be configured. So these solutions are required in finance, social, healthcare, in social and so on. So these are active solution is required in banking and transaction in very critical environments. So if the customer is not allowing us to have any downtime or any data loss, so if the customer requires zero RTO and zero RPO, so this is the right solution. Active is the right solution for the customer. So what is the typical networking? As we can see that the storage can be deployed in the two equipment room within one building or maybe two building, but the distance keeping in mind that the distance limitations should be considered. And then we must have UPS power, and all the things should be available in different equipment room. For example, this is equipment room 1 and this is 2. So you must have different power sources in UPS. All the things should be there, and the Quorum server should be there as well. And the host should become deployed in the cluster. So you need to deploy the host in cluster mode, because if you want to access both storages, so you must have a cluster available on top of the storages. And hosts are physically and logical connected to the both storages. As we can see, hosts are connected through the FC switches. This host is connected to this, and all the things are interconnected to each other. And we need these switches will be required for replication as well. We can connect these switches for replication. All the data will be replicated through these FC switches. And these are the management switches, IP switches. You can access the server storages, management ports, switches ports using these management switches. These are the Ethernet switches, and these are the IP switches which can be connected to the Quorum server. So you can connect it to the Quorum server. So these are the network requirements. You need to have these networks available. So this is a typical network requirement for the HyperMetro configuration. So you need to consider these while designing the HyperMetro. All these should be there in your network. So let's see what are the basic concept of HyperMetro domain. Actually, when you configure a HyperMetro domain, so it will allow to access across DC, and it have the Quorum server, local and remote storage configuration. Then when you create a hyper domain, so you will have to configure Quorum server and local and remote storage as well. Then there's a HyperMetro pair. HyperMetro pair is pair of the local storage and remote storage. You have to configure a pair of the um, both storages, so that it can be active relationship between two LUN. So these, when you create a HyperMetro pair, it will be a pair, and they will be responsible to sync every time. So it will be active relationship between these two LUNs. Then there is a consistency group. There's a protection group in the storage. So you can create a protection group, and for example, you have multiple LUNs and you want to keep it consistent. Sometimes databases require a big volume where you can save the logs. So if you want to keep it consistent, so you need to create a consistency group, so that a HyperMetro consistency group will be responsible to keep it consistent. All the LUN will be consistent, so there will be no data mismatch. So it is required in some cases. So we can do that as well using HyperMetro consistency group. Let's see, for example, let's see what relationship between the protection group, HyperMetro pairs, and HyperMetro consistency group. So for example, you have only individual LUN. So this is a HyperMetro pair between the individual LUN. This is the local LUN from storage A, and this is the remote LUN from storage B. So when you create HyperMetro pair, so it will be paired with each other, and we can it will be synced together. So the second scenario is HyperMetro consistency group for protection group. So for example, this is a protection group, local protection group. This is a remote group. As we can see, multiple LUN are in one group. This is a single LUN, and these are the multiple LUNs. Multiple LUNs are grouped in the protection group, and then you can create HyperMetro pair in all LUNs. And then on top of that, you can create HyperMetro consistency group to keep it consistent. And the third use case is HyperMetro consistency group on protection group from a LUN group. So there are you can create LUN group, like you can see this one LUN group, and this is a other LUN group. So on top of that LUN group, we can create consistency group as well. So we have multiple ways to configure HyperMetro pair, and these are all the scenarios are available here. You can do that as well. You can use it as a single LUN. You can use it on the local protection group, or you can create LUN group, and then you can do the consistency group as well. So these are different scenarios. It depends on the customer requirement and application scenarios. So what is the configuration process? As we can see, you have to start. First of all, log into the storage, check the HyperMetro license. You need to check the HyperMetro license because for active solution, you need a license. You must have license activated in your storage. In both storages, you must have the license. Then you can add some required prerequisites user. It is in documentation, so you have to follow the documents that which user need to be added. Then you can create logical ports, and you have to add the network configuration if you need to add some routes or something. Then you need to add the remote device. Remote device is your secondary site. If you have a primary storage, then you have to add this remote device into your local storage. Then you can create HyperMetro domain. When you are creating HyperMetro domain, so you have to add the Quorum server as well. So you need to install the Quorum server before this configuration. And then you can go either way. You can create LUN group, create LUN, or create HyperMetro pair, and create mapping. And then if you want to create LUN group, then you can create HyperMetro consistency group, and then you can map it, and you can configure your active storage. So these are the steps how to configure your storage. Very easy step. So in Huawei documentation, all the steps are mentioned, and very easily you can configure it. Okay. In active configuration, why we need arbitration? Let me draw it. For example, if we storage here and one storage here, these are connected. These are the replication link, and user is here. For example, this link goes down. So this storage doesn't know what is happening to this storage. This is A and this is B. Both storages are not aware of each other, so the data will be not synchronized. In this case, the data may be corrupted because maybe the user is doing some changes here, maybe some changes here. So both are not aware of each other. That the data must be synced with each other. So that's why the replication link must be available all the time. So to avoid this corruption or split brain, we need arbitration. So arbitration is required. It is mandatory because in second scenario, this is the first scenario. For example, the link goes down, or for example, the storage goes down. So also we need some mechanism that the storage should be active. The preferred storage or some arbitration method is required to to check that which storage should be active and which storage should not be active. So the user can write on the right storage. So to avoid data corruption, we need arbitration. It is mandatory. So for arbitration, we are using Quorum server, as we discussed. We have to install Quorum server, maybe in third-party place, or it is recommended to have in third-party location that it can access both storages from outside the data center. And if there's something goes wrong in one storage, so the Quorum server will decide which storage should be active at that time. And there's a second scenario, static priority mode. So we can configure the static priority as well if the Quorum server is down and the link is down as well. So the static priority mode will decide which storage should be online. So these are two methods for the arbitration. So we can use either Quorum server or we can use static priority mode. So recommendation is to have a Quorum server, and it can be on third-party place. So if there's a issue with the data center and the Quorum server is installed on that data center, so it will be not a good idea that the Quorum server should be on that data center. But you can use Quorum server in cluster as well, so you can have two Quorum servers. So that is the option as well. Okay, now let's see how we can install the Quorum server. Actually, Quorum server is a software package. You have to download it from the Huawei support portal. You can download it, and you need a Linux machine. You can install a Linux machine or VM, and then you can install this package and that Quorum server. So you just need to unzip it and then run the Quorum server install. There's a script, Quorum server install. As you can see, this is the script. And after that, as you can see, if you run the .quorum server.install-sh install, so it will automatically install the application. But before this, you need to check that which operating system is supported, maybe Euler, or maybe there are different operating system available. The versions are available in the documentation. So you can go to the documentation and first check which operating system is supported. Use this Quorum server and which version. So you have to take care about all these things. Before installation, you must check the documentation that which version is supported with which operating system. So according to your operating system, you can download the version and you can install it. And it's very easy. Just unzip it and run the script. Okay, after installation the script, you need to run this QSADM. When you run this, it will start the Quorum server processes. As you can check it using ps-elf paragraph. So as we can see, our application is running properly. So after installation, you have to start it, and then you can check the processes, that process is running properly or not. Sometime if there's an issue with the operating system version, so maybe when you check the processes, so you will be not able to see the processes. So it is recommended to check the processes that all the processes are running properly. Okay, once the Quorum server is installed, then you have to run this QSADM, then you will get the prompt of admin. So you need to add the IP address and port for this Quorum server. You have to configure it. That when you add this Quorum server in your storage, so it will be accessible using these IPs and ports. So you have to configure it. So in this case, they have used two IPs, but you can use one IP as well. So according to your network IP scheme, you have to add the Quorum server IP and port. And then when you enter it, it will be configured successfully. Then you can check show server IP. Show server IP will show you that your IP and ports are configured and listening now. So once you have this output, then you can go to the storage and you can add this Quorum server into your storage. But before that, you have to check all these things that everything is working and your IP is listening on this port. And from CLI, you can add the serial number in this Quorum server for the software management of the storages. You can add that as well. Okay, so the Quorum server configuration is done. You have add the Quorum server. You have create the pairs. You have created everything. Everything is created and mounted to the VMware or Fusion Compute. We here we have a Fusion Compute example. We are using Fusion Compute. This is a DR test. We are doing a DR test that, for example, if storage goes down, what will happen to the VM? And we can see the traffic is going through the which storages. So for example, we have Fusion Compute. This is the Fusion Compute. We have created CentOS on that Fusion Compute. This is the VM is created, and we need some writing tools to write data on the disk so that we can see on the storage that data is how much data is written, or how we can see the monitoring and the chart. So we need some we need the ISO. You can mount the ISO and go to the software. We need this FIO. We need this tool to write data on the disk. You can use any tools to write data on the disk. This is just an example. You can use this tool, or you can use something else. You can use, there are a lot of tools available. You can search for it and you can write data on the disk, and you can use it using some commands as well. So there are some built-in commands in different Linux flavors. So you can write some dummy data on the disk, and it will create writing process on the disk, so you can check it on the storage that how much data is right. So then this is the tool. You have to make it and install it. Okay. Okay, after installation, this software is installed on the VM. On the Fusion Compute, we have created a VM. And on CNA, CNA is Fusion Compute Hypervisor. You can go you can log in using command line, and you can check the multipath status, the multipath command. As we can see, all the paths are up and running. So both, we have different path from both storages. So both storages paths are up and running, and we can see that both storages are accessible to the CNA. Now we have to GCA 3510, GCB 3510. These are two storages. We have to create a monitoring policy so that we can see data is coming through which storage. When we are doing a DR test, so we should know that data is passing through which storage, so that we can see that one storage goes down, so we can see that traffic is moved to another storage. So we have to configure these policies. You can see for 5 minutes, these are the monitoring ports, and Fusion Compute A and Fusion Compute B. So we have to configure these things. This is the chart configuration. We have to configure it on LUN group. Okay, now we are going to write something on the disk. This is the command. We are writing a 20 GB test file at duration 5 minutes. So we can we want to write data, some data on storages, both storages, because both storages are active. So from VM we have run this command, and we are writing 20 GB data on the disk. Now we are going to power off the interface of one storage. These are the controller. We are going to power off the um, controller ports on the storage A, and we'll see what is happening. Both storages are up in active mode. We are writing 20 GB file, and I'm going to shut down the ports of storage A. This is the storage A. Now let's see what is happening. Now we can see the graphs goes down. There's no data. There's no data coming to the storage A, and the replication link are also down. There's no data written to the. There's no traffic between the storages. Now let's see. Go to the storage B. On storage B, as you can see, the traffic is going up. All the data is moving towards the storage B, and there is no downtime. The file write process is still going on. I have shut down the storage A, and storage B is providing the service. So all the traffic are going through the storage B. As you can see, the graph is going up. And if you log into the Fusion Compute, as you can see, two paths are failed. So your one storage paths are failed and the second storage is accessible. And as we can see, there's no downtime. So in active, there is zero downtime, zero RTO, zero RPO. If one storage goes down, the second storage will take care of everything. As we can see, after shutting down the first storage, the second storage is taking all the things, all the data is redirected to second storage, and the IOPS are higher on the second storage, and the IOPS are on the first storage are gone. There's no IOP. So as we can see in Fusion Compute, the storage A links are down and storage B is running, and there's no downtime. Okay, so our test is successful. There's no downtime, and we have started the process of writing the data on the storage on the volume, but system doesn't know that what is happening on the backside. All the data is redirected to the storage B, and there's no downtime. The downtime was zero. Now we are going to power off the storage A modules, and the services are up and running now. So now both storages are providing services to the VM. So actually we have tested that. For example, if you have a VM is connected to both storages, activity configuration is done, and LUN is configured on that VM. So when you writing something on that, let me draw it to you here. This is storage. This is storage A. This is storage B, and this is our Fusion Compute, and on top of that we have a VM. So this VM is writing data. This VM is writing 20 GB data on the storage simultaneously. So our storages are configured active. So both storages are providing the service. So we have shut down these ports on storage A. So when we check that in the performance monitoring, that all the data is now this VM is writing data on storage B now, but there is no downtime. This file was not interrupted. All the data 20 GB file is written here. So this means that if the storage goes down, so there will be no downtime for this user. Actually, user is using some application, maybe application is here running, so there will be no downtime. So this was a test of the DR. Then we restore it, and everything was working fine. Okay, this is all about our today's session. Let me see if there's any question, so we can answer it. Okay, there's a question, what is the role of the Quorum server in this architecture? As we discussed that Quorum server is arbitration. It requires for the arbitration. You need to have someone, third party, someone that who will decide that which storage should be active. If it is not there, then it will be an issue, because if both storages are not aware of each other, so both storages will be writing the data, it can be corrupted. So we need arbitration. So the Quorum server is required in active configuration. So the question, Quorum requirements. So it is in the documentation. You can go to the Huawei website, and you will find the Quorum server hardware requirement. There will be CPU, memory, and disk requirements, so you can check from there, and you can use a VM as well. So both options are available there. You can check it from there. There's a question, what is meant by gateway-free design? As we discussed that if you have two storages and you want to configure two active data centers, so some vendor provide a gateway. Without that gateway, they cannot configure active configuration. So Huawei is providing one box on the peer side and one side on the DR side, and maybe two buildings, or maybe in one building. So you don't need other gateway hardware requirement. It is built in the Huawei storages. So it's a advantage of Huawei. No need for gateway. Okay, I think I have a question. answer
there
all
any
the
more
questions. If
questions?
there is any question, if you have any question, please let me know. I will answer it. There's a question, can we have 2 Quorum servers? Yes, we can configure 2 Quorum servers, no issue. It is possible. If anyone have any question, I'm available, please ask.
Okay.
Lina, I think there's no more questions. So.
If everything is clear, if you don't have any more questions, then we can move to the next activity, the one where we invite you to answer some questions. So if you want to participate in the activity, please make sure that you have an account in the Huawei Enterprise Super Community first. If you already have an account, then please make sure that you are logged in. And after you log in, you need to go to the webinar post. I will share the link again just to make it easier for you to go to the webinar post. So this is the post I'm talking about. And you are welcome to answer the following 3 questions, which are based on today's content, for a chance to win 600 high coins. If you answer all the questions correctly, you will qualify for the rewards. And when answering, please make sure that you put all the answers in the same comment, just so that it's easier for me to see all the comments. So basically, this is all you need to do. Make sure that you log in, answer the questions in a comment below this post, and if you answer correctly, you qualify for the rewards. Kashif, can you please present quickly the 3 questions? By the way, I will also add the questions in the webinar post after we end the live session, so don't worry, you'll be able to find them there as well, but this is just a preview of the questions. Okay, so this is question 1, true or false kind of question. Question 2, you need to select the correct statements. And question 3, you need to select the correct statements again. Okay, if there are no more questions left from the participants, then I want to thank everyone for attending today's live webinar. I want to thank Kashif for hosting. As soon as we plan the 3rd part of the TechTalk series, we will of course announce it in the community. So please make sure that you follow our updates. I will share the link here. So here you can subscribe to the Tech Talks. You can choose only the ones that you are interested in. And when we have a webinar, we will send an email as well. So thank you for attending. Have a nice day, evening ahead. And I hope to see you in the next webinar as well. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
you,
you.
everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.